it actually happened. Something I never ever thought was going to happen on Carnivore. It happened. And I'm going to get into what this is, but first I'd like to ask you to do me a massive favor. I'm nearly at 70,000 subscribers, and I would love it if you could help me get there. And people have been reporting that sometimes, even though they think they're subscribed, they're not. So would you do me a massive favor and just quickly check down below this video and make sure you're subscribed? If not, please click that subscribe button. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, so what happened? First, let me tell you about what I believed would never happen on Carnivore, at least for me. And let me just say up front, I think Carnivore is amazing, and Carnivore can improve so many things about our lives. It can get rid of mood swings, brain fog, depression, anxiety, arthritis, joint pain, all of these things. You lose weight. It's amazing. It's life-changing. But there's one thing that people always talk about that I thought, this is never going to happen for me. And that's when people say, carnivores don't get sunburn. Now, before you switch off, hear me out about this. I was born in Scotland, and despite growing up in Australia, the sun never took to me. And all I remember about my childhood was constantly being in fear of the sun. Going to the beach and watching all of my friends run into the water as soon as they got to the beach, while I had to stand and slather sunscreen all over me, put on a diver's helmet, put on a wetsuit, and then hopefully I wouldn't get sunburned. So by the time my friends had been playing in the water, they'd come out, they were having a snack, that's when I was ready to go in. So my skin has always been pale and always been reactive to the sun. And it was over a year ago that I first heard carnivores talking about how they don't get sunburn. And I thought, I'm nearly 50 years old. From my experience, I don't think this is going to work for me. But I thought, you know what? I'm going on a holiday soon. I'm going to Cairns, one of the hottest places in Australia. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a try. And one day we're outdoor at a pool, and I thought, okay, I'm going to just not worry about sunscreen. I'm not going to worry about covering up. I'm just going to enjoy being in the pool that day with my family. And what happened? I was red as a fire truck. And it was weeks of this redness and a long time of having that sunburn pain. And that initially had that horrible kind of bad kind of flu-y kind of feeling because I'd got so sunburned. And so I just accepted, okay, I've got the Scottish gene. I'm going to not go out in the sun and remain as I have been for my whole life, as a recluse, or hiding under hats and hiding under shelter and trees and whatever, and staying out of the sun. So, and then a funny thing happened the other day. I had to go to the city office and get some documents, and then I had to take those documents up to another office quite a far way away. And unfortunately, where I live, it's very difficult to flag down a taxi. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a go, but I can't afford to stand and wait for a taxi that doesn't turn up. I'm going to start walking. And so I walked. And I had about a 1 hour walk. And a taxi did come, but it was very close to the end. But I got in anyway because it was super hot. Now, one of the things that happened when I was walking is I got a bit of sun. And I just had to deal with it. There was nowhere I could go to get in the shade. Japan's basically concrete, and it was the middle of the day, so the sun was just beating down on me. I had to put up with it. And when I got to the second office and I handed over the documents, they said, one's missing. And so I had to go all the way back to the city office to get the other document and come back. Now, the good news is the second office that I went to did have a taxi rank outside it. So I could jump in a taxi and speed all the way back to the city office. So that was nice, in air-conditioned comfort. The problem was After I sat in the city office for another half hour and waited for the document to be printed, I had to then get back to that second office and hand that document over. Again, no taxi. And this time, the whole way down, there was no taxi. And so I walked the same distance, about an hour, 2 times that day in the beating sun in the middle of the day. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a nightmare. I'm going to be so sore tonight. But guess what? It was a little bit red, but not sore. I didn't have that feeling that you get when you get really sunburned, where again, it's a bit like the flu. And the amazing thing is that the color has stayed in my skin. It hasn't gone like red, ouch, and then faded away to nothing like it has my whole life. It's gone a little bit red, no pain, and it's actually a little bit of color has stayed. Now I'll try and show you here. You probably can't see it because of the lighting and stuff like that. But basically my t-shirt line is here. So it's very white here, but it's got some color down here. So it's probably a little bit difficult to see on camera now, but I'll include a photo for you to see it, and hopefully you can tell the difference. But this was just amazing for me, and I had to tell you, because for 2 years I've heard carnivores don't get sunburn, and I've thought, no, I'm just blessed with this Scottish skin. I'm just pale, and that's the way it's going to be for the rest of my life. The same as it was all the way growing up, where I wished I had a tan and I could just never do it. And now things seem to have changed. I think the problem in Cairns is not that I was uncovered and outside at the pool. I think my problem in Cairns was I overdid it. I think, for someone who's basically tried to avoid the sun at all costs for almost 50 years, when you go out in the sun, if you sit out there for 6 hours, playing in the pool for 6 hours under the beating sun in the middle of summer in tropical North Queensland in Australia, you're going to suffer. And I think I needed to be a little bit more conscious and perhaps do it more slowly and kind of build up my body's understanding of what to do with those sun's rays. And so that's the story I wanted to share with you today, guys. I'd love to know your thoughts, and please feel free to leave your comments below. I'd love to read them. And if you want to see a really interesting interview, check out this one next.